Security Session 5. I'd like to ask Dr. Vander and Mr. Dillon to talk about economics of war. Thank you.
Okay, so good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to present a research about economics of war, particularly on selected developed nations. So before I present the paper, this is actually related, closely related with the papers presented yesterday by Ms. Nielsen and of course and Doc Marlon. Yesterday's paper talked about war and its relation to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So the paper that I'll be presenting to you is somewhat focuses on the economic effects or the economics effect of participating in war, particularly major wars of these selected nations. So it has long been acknowledged that warfare has a transforming power that alters history and leaves a lasting impact on communities all around the globe. Beyond the casualties it causes right away and the geopolitical fallout, war has significant long and short-term economic impact. The intricate and multi-dimensional relationship between the war and the economy is defined by a wide range of interconnected factors that affect stability, growth, and economic activity. The impact of war on economies has been the focus of much research and discussion in the academic world, among decision makers, and among practitioners throughout history. Large-scale international conflicts, as well as domestic civil unrest, can have a substantial impact on several economic metrics, like GDP, or the gross domestic product of a country, the inflation rate, or the average increases in the price of basic commodities on specific part on that country. Same goes with their employment rate, trade, and the budget of the government. Comprehending these consequences is crucial to grasp the wider societal and geopolitical implications of armed conflict, and to develop efficacious approaches for resilience and economic recuperation. This paper or this research tries to determine the effects of war on some key economic determinants. Specifically, I'll be focusing the analysis on its effect on GDP, or the gross domestic products I've mentioned a while ago, the infrastructures that have been done in these countries, the inflation rate, and of course, the population over time. In order to specify, the researcher limits the analysis among these four nations. So starting it off with the United States of America, Germany, Japan, and Russia. So the main criteria in selecting these countries is because historically, we know that these countries have engaged themselves into major wars. Some are still related or are still participating in wars. But generally, the main focus is those nations who have strived and participated in major wars. The methodology in doing this research, the researcher used what we call the case study research, okay, that undergoes different steps. Firstly is identifying the different circumstances where the event happened, and then analyzing the different cases available on the internet and on other books, or in the books, or primarily on the historical facts related to these nations. The researcher did an analysis of what happened during these participation in wars and tried to summarize the effect of participation into the four economic variables mentioned a while ago. And then later, I'll be presenting to you the summary of the effects of these participation of war in each of these nations and in a general, or as summarizing the general effects. So the following will be the next slides will give you the summary of the results for each country, particularly on the major wars or conflicts that these nations participated with. So the presentation of the results will be starting first with what are the major wars that these countries participated with or participated in, and then the effects of such scenario to their economy. So let's start it off with Japan. So Japan have had several countries that they've participated with, but the major ones are the ones reflected in our screen. So it started with the first Sino-Japanese War on 1894 and 1895. So that war is cemented the Japanese victory in its conflict against China, right, and established its dominance in East Asia, marking its emergence as a regional power on that region. The second one is the the Russo-Japanese War. Japan's successful war against Russia resulted in territorial gains, including the annexation of Korea and the acquisition of territories in Manchuria. The third one is the World War I on 1914 to 1918. So Japan joined the Allies during World War I and seized German-controlled territories in East Asia and the Pacific, contributing to its expansion as an imperial power on that region. Followed by the Second Sino-Japanese War, the conflict between Japan and China escalated into a full-scale war, leading to widespread devastation and atrocities committed by Japanese forces in China. And lastly is the World War II, 1939 to 1945. Japan's participation in World War II as part of the Axis powers included military campaigns across Asia and the Pacific, leading to its eventual defeat after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the subsequent surrender in 1945. So with this participation of Japan into major wars, the researcher was able to determine the impact to the four economic variables. Let's start off with the population. During World War II, Japan experienced significant loss of life among its military personnel and civilians due to combat, bombings, and other wartime atrocities. The population also faced hardships such as food shortages and disease outbreaks. Additionally, the war led to the displacement of millions of people, including evacuees from urban areas and refugees from occupied territories. The demographic consequences of war had long-lasting effects on Japan's population structure and societal dynamics. In terms of GDP, Japan's involvement in wars had varying effects. In the lead up to and during World War II, Japan's military expansion and industrial mobilization resulted in a significant increase in its GDP because of the increase on the government spending, particularly on defense and war-related industries. However, these wars also caused extensive destruction on the infrastructure, productive assets, and disruptions on the trade and economic activity. The post-war period of Japan saw Japan's economy rebuilt with the assistance of United Nations, leading to a rapid recovery and subsequent economic boom. In terms of infrastructure, as we all know, war can inflict severe damage on infrastructure through bombings, military operations, and resource depletion. During World War II, Japanese infrastructures, including transportation networks, factories, urban centers, suffered extensive damage from Allied air raids and naval bombardments. The destruction of infrastructure hindered economic activities, disrupted supply chains, and impeded post-war reconstruction efforts. However, Japan's post-war recovery efforts focused on rebuilding and modernizing its infrastructure, contributing to its emergence as one of the global economic powerhouse. In terms of inflation rate, war participation often leads to inflationary pressures due to increase in government spending, resource scarcity, and disruptions to supply chain, as what was mentioned a while ago. During World War II, Japan's government financed its military activities through borrowings and currency expansion, leading to inflation and currency devaluation. The scarcity of goods and services during the war further fueled inflation, exacerbating economic hardships for the population. Post-war reconstruction efforts also contributed to inflationary pressures as demand for resources and labor outpaced supply. However, Japan's post-war economic policies, including the price controls and fiscal discipline, helped them to have a stabilized economy. The second nation being analyzed in this study is the United States of America. So USA have participated into different wars, starting off with the American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783. The United States fought for independence from British rule that time, resulting in the formation of the independent nation, followed by the fight between the US and Great Britain, primarily over issues such as trade restrictions and impressment of American sailors. That was in 1812 to 1815. Next is the Mexican-American War. The US fought against Mexico, resulting in significant territorial gains for the US, and these includes California, Nevada, Utah, and some parts of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming. After which, there emerged what we call as the American Civil War, a conflict between the Union, that is the northern and then the southern states, over issues such as states' rights, slavery, and the preservation of the Union. Next is the Spanish-American War during 1898, and this is a battle between the US and Spain, resulting in the US acquisition of territories such as Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. The next one is the World War I. The participation of the US in World War I as part of the Allies contributing significant military and economic support that helped lead to the Allied victory. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States entered World War II, playing a decisive role in the defeat of the Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. Next, the United States participated in a United Nations-backed effort to support South Korea against North Koreans' aggression, resulting in an armistice that ended the fighting but did not lead to a formal peace treaty until now. The United States became involved in the conflict between North and South Vietnam as well, supporting the South Vietnamese against the communist forces of the Northern Vietnam. Next, the United States led a coalition of international forces in liberating Kuwait from Iraqi operation during the Gulf War. Second to the last one is the war in Afghanistan, that is in 2001 up to present. So following the September 11 attacks, the US led a military campaign against the Taliban government in Afghanistan, which harbored Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. And lastly, the United States led a coalition in the invasion of Iraq, resulting in the overthrow of Saddam Hussein's regime in subsequent years of conflict and insurgency. With this participation in war, the United States have had almost the same impact in terms of their economy. Specifically, in terms of their population, their war participation would have had a direct and indirect impacts on their population. Directly, wars led to casualties among military personnel and civilians, affecting the overall population size. Indirectly, wars can lead to migration, displacement, and changes in birth rates. One of the known examples, during World War II, millions of Americans served in the military, and casualties were significant. However, the war also resulted in increased migration to urban areas for wartime industries, which led to population shifts and changes in their demographics. In terms of their gross domestic product, war participation can have complex effects on GDP. In the short run, increased military spending can stimulate economic activity because of the spendings done by the government to support the war. And of course, in the defense. However, wars also entail costs such as the destruction of infrastructure, loss of human capital, and disruptions to trade and production, which we all know have a negative impact on their GDP or on GDP. Additionally, post-war reconstruction efforts can contribute to GDP growth, but may also strain government finances and resources. In infrastructure, war participation would result to damage to their infrastructure due to bombings, military operations, and other factors. During World War II, many American cities and industrial centers were targeted by enemy bombing raids, leading to significant destruction of infrastructures such as factories, transportation networks, and housing facilities. The war also led to the expansion of military infrastructure, including bases and defense facilities. Post-war reconstruction efforts focused on rebuilding infrastructure, which contributed to the economy recovery and development. In terms of inflation rate, war participation led to inflationary pressures due to increased government spending, resource scarcity, and disruptions to supply chains. Same with Japan. During World War II, government spending on defense and war-related industries contributed to inflationary pressures in the U.S. economy. Wartime shortages and rationing led to price increases for essential goods and services. However, the United States government implemented measures such as price controls and rationing to mitigate inflation during the war. After the war, inflationary pressures persisted due to increased demand for consumer goods and transition from the wartime to a peacetime economy. Next is in Germany. So in Germany, there are only 3 recorded major wars that are known that they've participated with. So we have the Franco-Prussian War, the World War I, and the World War II. Firstly, Germany, led by Prussia, fought against France, resulting in the unification of Germany under Prussian dominance and the formation of the German Empire. During World War I, Germany, along with Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire, fought against the Allied powers, primarily France, Britain, and Russia. The war ended with Germany's defeat and the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed heavy reparations and territorial losses on Germany. Number 3, for World War II, Germany under Nazi rule invaded Poland in 1939, triggering World War II. Germany's military aggression led to the occupation of numerous countries in Europe and North Africa. The war ended, of course, with Germany's defeat by the Allied powers, resulting in the division of Germany and the subsequent occupation and reconstruction of Western Germany. In the same country, the following are the effects on their economy, particularly in population, due to significant human casualties and population displacement. This war led to significant human casualties and population displacement in Germany. World War I resulted in the loss of hundreds of thousands of German lives on the battlefield, contributing to the decline in the country's population. The aftermath of World War I also saw widespread social upheaval and political instability, leading to further population displacement and migration. The population losses and disruptions caused by these wars had long-lasting demographic effects on Germany. In terms of their economic growth through GDP, their war participation have had complex effects on Germany's GDP. During World War I, Germany experienced economic strain due to the cost of war and the Allied blockade, which led to shortages of essential goods and inflation. The Treaty of Versailles imposed heavy reparations on Germany, further burdening its economy. Despite efforts at economic recovery during the interwar period, Germany faced economic challenges such as hyperinflation and unemployment. World War II exacerbated these economic difficulties, with widespread destruction of infrastructure, loss of productive capacity, and occupation by the Allied forces. The post-war reconstruction efforts in West Germany, however, eventually led to a period of economic growth and recovery. In terms of infrastructure, the war participation have had a significant effect to Germany's infrastructure. Allied bombings targeted German cities, industrial centers, transportation networks, caused widespread destruction in the country. And this hindered economic activity, disruptions in their supply chains, impeded post-war reconstruction efforts. The rebuilding of infrastructure in post-war Germany was a monumental task that required significant investment and resources. Lastly, in terms of inflation, war participation contributed to inflationary pressures in Germany, and the cost of war, coupled with the Allied blockade, led to shortages of goods and currency depreciation, contributing to what we call as hyperinflation in the early 1920s. The economic challenges faced during the interwar period, including reparations, payments, and the Great Depression, also contributed to the inflationary pressures. Additionally, the economic disruptions caused by World War II, such as shortages and currency instability, have had a tremendous effect on their inflation. The last country under study is Russia. So Russia have participated in different or several wars. First, Russia participated in what we call as the Napoleonic Wars during 1803 to 1815, particularly during Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812. The Russian campaign against Napoleon's Grand Army resulted in the eventual defeat of the French forces and the retreat from Russian territory. This was followed by the Crimean War, where Russia fought against an alliance of France, Britain, and the Ottoman Empire, and Sardinia in the Crimean War. The conflict primarily revolved around disputes over religious and territorial issues in the Balkans and Balkans region. This is followed during 1904 to 1905 on what we call as the Russo-Japanese War. Russia engaged in a conflict with Japan over territorial disputes in East Asia, specifically control of Korea and Manchuria. The Russo-Japanese War ended with Japanese victory and had significant consequences for Russia, including internal unrest and political upheaval. Followed by the World War I, Russia was of course involved in World War I as part of the Allied powers, primarily fighting against Central powers, including Germany and Austria-Hungary. Russian participation in the war contributed to the collapse of the Russian Empire and the subsequent Russian Revolution. Then they had what we call the Russian Civil War. Right? Following the Russian Revolution and Bolshevik seizure of power, Russia descended into a civil war between the Bolsheviks, or the Red Army, and the White Army. The conflict resulted in the establishment of the Soviet Union under Bolshevik rule. Next is the participation of Russia as part of the Soviet Union in World War II, following the German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. The Eastern Front of World War II, known as the Great Patriotic War in Russia, was the largest and bloodiest theater of the conflict, resulting in millions of casualties and significant destructions. Although another war that they've participated with is the Cold War, 1947 to 1991. that is a geopolitical and ideological struggle between the Soviet-led Eastern Bloc and the Western Bloc led by the US. And lastly, the Soviet-Afghan War, where Russia intervened in Afghanistan to support the Afghan government against insurgents. The conflict lasted for nearly a decade and resulted in significant casualties and economic strain for Soviet Union. So the impacts in Russian economy are as follows. In terms of population, it has a significant effect on Russian population, together with displacement and demographic changes. In World War I, Russia suffered heavy casualties with millions of soldiers and civilians killed or wounded. The war also contributed to social upheaval, including the Russian Revolution of 1917, which ultimately led to the collapse of the Russian Empire. In terms of GDP, war participation can have both short-term and long-term effects on GDP. During World War I, Russia experienced economic strain due to the costs of war, inflation, disruptions in trade and production. The Russian Revolution and the subsequent civil war also had a significant impact on the economy, leading to instability and decline in numbers. World War II brought further economic challenges, including widespread destruction of infrastructure, loss of productive capacity, and economic disruption. Same with other nations included in the study. In terms of infrastructure, war participation led to a damage in the infrastructures due to bombings, military operations, and resource depletion. In World War II, Russia experienced significant destruction, including cities, in their cities, factories, and transportation networks, especially during the German invasion of the Soviet Union. And lastly, in their inflation rate, war participation led to inflationary pressures due to increased government spending, resource scarcity, and disruptions to supply chain. During World War I, Russia experienced hyperinflation, same as Germany, due to the costs of war and economic instability. In summary, the participation of these nations have led the researcher with the following conclusions. In terms of population, casualties, war participation, we know leads to casualties among military personnel and civilians, resulting in loss of life, injuries, and disabilities. In terms of displacement, wars can cause population displacement due to forced migration, refugee flows, and internal displacement as people flee conflict zones to seek safety. In terms of demographic changes, war can also lead to changes in population demographics, including shifts in age structure, gender composition, and geographical distribution. In GDP, economic costs, wars impose significant economic costs on countries, including expenses for military operations, procurement of weapons and equipment, and healthcare for wounded soldiers. They will also experience productivity losses due to this destruction of infrastructure, disruption in trade and commerce, loss of human capital that could lead to decline in productivity and output, and of course, that would negatively impact GDP. During post-war reconstruction, after conflicts, countries often undertake reconstruction efforts to rebuild damaged infrastructure and restore economic activity, which will then subsequently lead to GDP growth in the long term. In infrastructure, wars can cause extensive damage to infrastructure such as roads, bridges, power plants, hospitals, and schools through bombing, shellings, and sabotage. Damage to these infrastructures will disrupt essential services and hinders economic activities, transportation, communication, and access to basic utilities. Though reconstruction would happen, post-war reconstruction efforts, which aims to repair and rebuild damaged infrastructures, require significant investment, time, and resources that would supposedly restore normalcy and support economic recovery. In inflation rate, demand and supply shocks is being experienced. Wars can create demand shocks and supply shocks. leading to inflationary pressures, in increasing government spending on defense and war-related expenditures, which will then fuel what we call as demand pull inflation. Currency devaluation will also be experienced. Wars often led to currency devaluation due to increased government borrowing, deficit spending, and loss of confidence in the economy. And lastly, shortages and rationing of food. Shortages of goods and services may occur due to supply disruptions, leading to rationing and price controls to manage inflation and ensure equitable distribution. Among these effects of war in these economies or in these nations, the researcher proposed the following recommendations. Diplomacy and conflict resolution. We know that this had been the discussion yesterday with the paper presented by our two colleagues here. So diplomacy and conflict resolution, particularly prioritizing diplomatic negotiation and peaceful resolutions among nations, strengthening the international institutions such as UN, ASEAN, Eurasia, North American Union, or European Union, among others. We could also have what we call as peace building and conflict prevention. Investment in peace building initiatives that addresses underlying grievances, promote social cohesion, and build resilience to conflict. Also, support conflict prevention measures such as early warning systems, mediation, and reconciliation programs to prevent the outbreak or recurrence of armed conflicts. Thirdly is the arms control and disarmament. Advocate for arms and control agreements and disarmament measures to reduce the proliferation of weapons and mitigate the risk of conflict escalation. We could also promote transparency and accountability in arms sales and transfers to prevent the arming of unstable regions or non-state actors. Next is the humanitarian assistance and development aid. Provide humanitarian assistance to population affected by conflict, including food aid, shelter, healthcare, and psychological support. Invest as well in long-term development aid to address root cause of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to education and economic opportunities. Economic diversification and resilience can also be recommended. Specifically, diversify economies to reduce dependence on sectors vulnerable to conflict, such as natural resources or military industries. Build economic resilience through robust institutions, sound macroeconomic policies, and diversified trade and investment partners. Next is the infrastructure and reconstruction planning. How? Through strengthening infrastructure resilience to withstand the impacts of conflict, such as fortifying critical infrastructures and developing contingency plans for rapid response and recovery. Invest in post-conflict reconstruction and recovery efforts to rebuild damaged infrastructure, restore basic services, and stimulate economic recovery. Last but not the least is international cooperation and solidarity. Foster international cooperation and solidarity to address the root cause of conflict, promote peace, and support countries affected by war. Mobilize resources, expertise, and political support from the international community to prevent and mitigate the economic impacts of war participation. Thank you very much for listening. And of course, every war is a war against children.
Thank you very much, Leandro. And this sort of answers more details the discussion we had yesterday.
Yes.
Thank you. It was very timely. Who would like to ask some questions here or on Skype as well?
Yep.
Margaret, please come forward. And please speak up. Thank you.
I understand that there is really a negative impact or very bad results resulting from war when it comes to economics. But for these countries who are affected, are a possibility that other countries will benefit regarding the economics, or how?
Other countries meaning aside from the ones participating in wars,
Yes.
or the ones participating in war?
No, other than participating.
Okay. So as I recall yesterday when Daryl discusses the sale of armaments or the materials in doing war, so these countries who are selling this, how do you call this, guns and other war-related materials would definitely benefit in these wars of other nations. So that's one. Another is, if ever, although I'm speaking on a more positive note, some nations might have a positive would receive a positive impact. Sorry, let me rephrase that. In the Philippines, many Filipinos, I'm speaking for myself, many Filipinos wanted to be part or are, I'm trying to find a term that will not hurt some Filipinos. Right. Many Filipinos wanted still to be part of the United States, okay, or America. Okay. So if the occupation of Americans in the Philippines, which is the result of war, continued until now, then I guess many Filipinos would still be happy because of such a scenario. So that can be one of the positive effects. So in terms of the countries participating in war, of course, the territorial, the increase in their territorial jurisdiction would also be one of the positive effects of war to those participating.
Okay, so if other countries do not sell these army weapons,
Yeah, weapons, yeah.
because that's your sample. Right now, let's analyze our current situation. There are participants in a war right now.
Yep.
And the Philippines is one of the affected countries when it comes to inflation. And we have been experiencing this very high inflation for the past 2 years, especially in 2022 from 2021. So how do you think, or can you suggest or make proposal on how our country can recover while this war is still ongoing?
Okay, firstly, the inflationary or the inflation that had been experienced by the Philippines, I think, is not solely affected by the wars or the conflicts of other nations. Because I think inflation in the Philippines is primarily because of the internal activities happening in the nation or in the country. But assuming activities outside Philippines have had an impact on the inflation of the Philippines, what solutions can we do? Is that the question? What solutions can we propose assuming inflation is affected by wars happening in other nations? That would be a very complicated, I cannot think of a good policy that will be followed by the Philippine government if such would happen. But, yeah, sorry for that, but I can't think of any policies now that could solve such concern because inflation in the Philippines is primarily handled on internal activities.
Okay. Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I talk a little bit about
Yeah,
We would like to, yeah.
that?
While you're getting ready, notes, so there was an opinion survey released in this last week, and it was looking at some of the Southeast Asian countries. Would they prefer to take the side of the United States or People's Republic of China? And this, you can look at the news releases, and it was an opinion shift that it's about half and half. Because of the Chinese soft diplomacy, has been trying. Now the Philippines has gone clearly back to American side overall, which is interesting. Perhaps I would say it seems like under President Ducarte, it is the first President Ducarte, we're waiting for the next one, that there was a shift towards China a bit, although it was also not really, it's certainly under Marcos Jr. there's a big shift back to America. In your reflection, is that fairly solid now, that the majority of the Philippines will be pro-American?
I guess over time, historically, Philippines is known to be a supporter of Americans. Although you're correct, there is a slight shift on that notion because of President Duterte, but I still think majority are still signing up with US against China. Hello.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm concerned about inflation.
Yep.
You analyzed inflation in those 4 cases,
Yep.
okay? But the inflation can contaminate every country. That's the point. I mean, in Ukraine, we had a soybean being high,
The price, yeah.
the price. So it contaminates our economy too in Brazil,
Yep.
a little bit. And also they have, due to Russia, I'm just talking about the last war, Russia, Ukraine. So Ukraine make a effect or caused a effect around the world. Just in this case of soybean, and Russia caused a effect on petroleum.
Okay, yeah.
So if we had petroleum with a high price in Brazil, we would have higher price in everything. So we would
Yes,
have
that's
inflation.
good. Yes, that's good.
My question is, should we consider just inflation for those countries involved? Because it's a issue that is global.
Yeah.
If you have a local war, you would have a global effect. That's the point. I'd like you to talk a little bit about these effects.
Okay. I think the question is related to Margaret's question.
Yeah.
And I would like to answer the question. Inflation, local inflation would primarily be affected if a nation is highly dependent on the products of other nations. Maybe that's what is happening in Ukraine, because Ukraine's petroleum products are being imported from Russia. Is that I don't know the.
No. The price of petroleum can higher due to conflicts.
Yep.
Globally.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You would have higher prices in every country.
Because
so,
of petroleum.
All the goods depends on the petroleum because they
Yes.
need to be transported and so on.
Yes, because it's one of the raw materials in production.
Yeah, the material. So that's the question. The work involved all the earth, I mean in terms of effect. Because you were studying just effect for those countries.
Yes, that's correct.
But I'd like you consider the effect for everyone, if it's possible to compare at this time. I don't know if it is. Compare this inflation effects,
Okay.
specifically inflation.
Yes.
Inflation effects.
Okay.
You know?
That would be a good study. The effect of inflation because of war to other nations. Yeah, that would be a perfect study. But of course, the effect of war to other nations' inflation is or would only be or would have being experienced if we are highly dependent on these nations who are participating in wars. Okay, please. Because there are some nations who are have their own way of extracting petroleum on Earth, which is not directly impacted by the war happening in Russia and Ukraine. Say, for example, US. Okay? China now is starting to extract oil from Earth, which, of course, we know China and Russia do have a close ties or relationship.
In Brazil too.
In Brazil too, yeah. But it would depend on how dependent you are on these nations who have had conflicts with one another. But to answer the question that was also mentioned by Margaret, I think one way is for us to make ourselves protected, if I may say, okay, with these conflicts happening with other nations, is for us to learn how to locally, as much as possible, produce these products, if there is a possibility. And I think that's one of the reasons why we, the Philippines, are having lots of talks about lots of conflicts about China because of the annexation or the increase in the territorial disputes against China, because China is starting to creep on our territory because based on studies, there are lots of minerals and fuels that can be found on that piece of land. Or, yeah.
Okay, let's think. I think it could separate this a dependence and a cartel, I should say,
Yeah.
global cartel.
Mm-hmm.
So some prices are defined by some people,
Yep.
not because of dependence or not
Mhm.
demand. Okay? So we can talk more
Yes,
about that.
definitely.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Leandro. Thank you.
Mhm.